What happens when a vault is designed to test the survival resolve of a group of religious pacifists? A whole lot of no good, that's what. In today's extended episode of What the Fuck, Vault-Tec, we will take a closer look at Vault 94 and what went wrong. Hi there, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Nerdy Jane, and on this channel we take deep dives into video game lore across a plethora of different genres. I'm in a bit of a Fallout kick right now, so we're heading back to the world of Fallout to take a look at yet another vault. Before I get into the video, I just wanted to let you all know what's been going on. If you've been on my channel before, you may have noticed I took a little bit of a break right after the holidays. There was a few things that happened in my personal life, as well as the post-holiday stress that kind of goes into starting a new year, where I just didn't have the time to record any videos or anything like that. We should be back to a pretty normal posting schedule, one longer video a week, with a couple of shorts sprinkled throughout the rest of the week. Thank you so much for being here, and let's just dive right in to Vault 94. Our story begins before the bombs dropped, when the vault was being built. Vault 94 was designed as a haven in the post-apocalyptic world, a utopia, if you will, with greenhouses, a massive seed bank containing seeds for every edible and medicinal plant on the planet, enough food and clean water to sustain itself indefinitely, and even its very own Gek. The vault was the best hope for the future of mankind. The residents were selected for their peaceful, giving, and caring nature. They were all part of a religious community led by Gabriella Salivar, a charismatic and extremely good person. Alongside these residents was Tyrone Hayes, a Vault-Tec engineer responsible for ensuring the vault was well maintained. The vault was also equipped with an automatic emergency management system, which would direct the vault dwellers on what to do in case of any emergency, from flooding to fires to radiation, you name it. Truly, the residents of Vault 94 would want for nothing. Of course, this emergency response system was a piece of junk, and I'll cover more about that in another short, because believe it or not, it's really not the reason why the people of Vault 94 died. Shocking, I know. Right from the start, the world around the vault dwellers was tested. On the day the bombs dropped, the community was bussed to the vault. Radiation was climbing, and the vault doors were automatically set to shut once the radiation levels reached a certain level. Tyrone tried his best to cover the sensors to allow for more time for the vault dwellers to arrive, but there was nothing he could do. The vault doors sealed, one bus made it in time, the other didn't. Though Gabriella and the other residents blamed Tyrone for the death of their friends, within a few weeks they had settled into their new home. As instructed by Vault-Tec, the vault was based around communal living. Sleeping, dining, and recreational areas were all communal, and this was actually just fine for the residents. They were all very happy working together. They even established a communal garden area where they grew food and even experimented on ways to ensure the plant life would be able to thrive outside of the vault doors. There was no overseer in the vault, though Pastor Salivar was seen as the unquestionable leader. The vault was run by a council, including the mechanic Tyrone. The directive of Vault-Tec was that there would be a 1-year shelter period, and then the vault doors were to open, and the community was to reach out to survivors and welcome them into their vault for food, water, and shelter. Now, the community was all for this plan. They had more than enough to go around and devised an ambassador program. Once the designated shelter period was over, they would send out vault ambassadors to welcome new people into their home. During the shelter period, Tyrone started to become close to the people in the vault, and actually felt like he became one of them. He even became engaged to Gabriella's daughter, Angelique. The twist? He knew what Vault-Tec really wanted to test. You see, their experiment wasn't the feel-good story of mankind's goodness overcoming adversity. Vault-Tec wanted to see if the vault dwellers would abandon their ideals of saving survivors and either seal the vault again or fight for their survival. By the way, they had no weapons in the vault, so how they were supposed to defend themselves should any trouble reach them, I don't know. It's Vault-Tec. Anyway. As the shelter period was coming to an end, and everyone was getting excited to welcome in survivors and take care of them, Tyrone came clean and explained to them what Vault-Tec really expected to happen. Gabriella refused to believe it and told him that he and Vault-Tec were wrong. Once they opened those doors, survivors would be so happy to have a safe place to call home, they would drop their warlike tendencies and join the Vault 94 community. The council voted against all of his proposals, and the ambassador program was set in motion once the vault doors opened. There was a welcome message on the first terminal outside the vault, directing anyone who visited to give all of their weapons to the reception representative. The vault was abuzz with excitement as the ambassadors were released to the wide open world. The rest of the vault prepared for the flood of new vault dwellers that would come and live with them. A few days later, the first survivors arrived. They looked rough, and did not follow the instructions to turn over their weapons, walking right past the checkpoint to the entrance. Tyrone was with Gabriella and Angelique to welcome the first group of survivors. Pastor Salivar welcomed them with open arms, but the leader of the group interrupted, asking what kind of trap they were trying to set. Gabriella reassured them that this was no trap, that they were ready to give them food and shelter from the harsh world outside. Overcome by the vault's giving nature, the group of men threw down their weapons and joined the fold. Of course not, they shot them. Seeing that the vault dwellers were unarmed, the men opened fire and mowed down any resident that they could find, including Tyrone, Gabriella, and Angelique. Thanks to the automatic emergency management system that I mentioned before, all wings were locked down, including the residential wing. We'll come back to that. The raiders moved through the vault, looting and shooting everything that they saw. Using the terminal in the council chambers, the group of raiders attempted to open the doors to the residential areas, but were unable to. They did, however, open the doors to the Gek wing, and here's where sweet justice was served hot and irradiated. The raiders made their way to the Gek wing, shooting any dwellers still around down there. They approached the Gek and had no idea what it was. One of the men told the boss that something wasn't right with this whole vault. The dwellers didn't defend themselves, and there were high levels of radiation in that room. Another raider broke into the terminal and explained that the Gek was a Garden of Eden creation kit. Hey there, editing me here. So it's at this point I realized I never talk about what a Gek is or why there's so much plant life in Vault 94. Just a really quick coverage of what a Gek is. So a Gek, or the Garden of Eden creation kit, is a device developed by Vault-Tec that would stabilize the outside world and then allow for plant growth and plant life to come back. So that's why you see a lot of plants out here. It's clear in this image that's on the screen that all of the plant life is stemming from this Gek. We'll see what happened to the Gek in just a minute, but that's what it is, and that's why you see so much plant life around, was because the Gek was damaged, let's say. The leader mentioned feeling funny, so the thing must be a mind control device. I mean, why else would the rest of the vault dwellers be acting so weird? And just a note, the fact that he survived through the whole apocalypse and understood radiation because the person in his group was commenting how high the level of radiation was in the room, and yet he thought it was a mind control device and it wasn't radiation poisoning, just kind of blows my mind. Anyway, he tells Red to light it up because that's exactly what a raider would do if he didn't know what something did. He'd blow it up. Before the only smart one in the group could stop them, Red shot the Gek, which caused it to explode, vaporizing all of the raiders in the room. I think they were vaporized. I didn't find any bodies lying around of any, raider-looking people, but I could be wrong. If there are some bodies, maybe it was just my playthrough. Alright, so now I'm going to lay out some theories that I have about Vault 94, and I want to hear your ideas about it. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Did I miss something? This is where we're going to talk about it. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Just please be respectful when you're down there. Alright, here's my first one. Can we actually blame Vault-Tec for this one? After all, Tyrone tried to warn them about what Vault-Tec was really up to, but they refused to listen to him. Frankly, yeah, I think you can blame Vault-Tec. One, they chose the exact right people they needed for this experiment to be successful, despite Tyrone's best efforts. I mean, even Tyrone kind of fell into this fold of this religious community, and eventually went with the ambassador program against all of his better judgment. Vault-Tec set this whole experiment up quite perfectly, to the point where it still went through exactly how they wanted, despite what Tyrone wanted. So I think that it's definitely Vault-Tec's fault that this happened. I think also the fact that the vault doors closed before the second bus came through was also Vault-Tec's fault, and hear me out on this one. Tyrone explains how he was haunted by the sounds of the pounding on the vault doors of the people that he couldn't let in. The rest of the vault dwellers probably heard the same thing and probably felt the same way as Tyrone did. This laid the foundation for them to want to see the ambassador program succeed. I mean, it's only been a year since the bombs dropped. They were expected to find survivors. Maybe some of their congregation were still out there. Now, you could also argue that it was Gabriella Salivar that ultimately got them killed, and I could kind of see where you're coming from on this one, too. It was her decision to create the ambassador program and keep the doors open after everything that Tyrone told her. But wait, wasn't the vault run by a council? You can't possibly blame Gabriella Salivar solely for the failure that was Vault 94. Yes, you can blame Pastor Salivar. It's unclear what kind of religion this group followed, but Pastor Salivar was undoubtedly the charismatic leader of this group. And listen, I watch a lot on cult stuff, and I'm not saying that it was a cult, but there's some things with charismatic leaders and people really not questioning them that we kind of have to apply to this one. When you look at the way the council voted, it was almost always unanimous, with only one dissenting vote here and there. That one vote was Tyrone, who tried desperately to convince them that opening the doors was a bad idea. It's obvious that there was a bit of a hive mind mentality going on. They agreed with the leader. The council basically did what Pastor Salivar, their spiritual leader, wanted. All right, my second point. Are the residents of Vault 94 still alive? This one I really want to hear your opinions on because I can totally see it as being possible. So the residential wing was sealed off, and we really don't see a lot of bodies around the vault. Maybe 10 or so. That means that if the emergency management system did its job properly, it would have instructed all of the residents into the residential wing and sealed it shut to protect the dwellers. Not everyone made it in and were then shot by the raiders, but a majority of them probably were safe behind that door. I also didn't find any areas that were needed to sustain life off of the main atrium. No dining areas, bathrooms, nothing like that. This means that all of these areas were in the residential wing, which is locked and now sealed by not only the mechanism, but plant life. Sure, it's been, 24 years since they were locked in there? But it's a vault, and a well-stocked one at that. Everything that they would need to survive would be in that wing. So it's entirely possible that they are alive in there, living in a communal utopia. On the other hand, the Gek explosion could have killed them all or flooded that wing with radiation, but we don't get any rads around the rest of the vault, so I don't think that would really have been the issue. Or perhaps, after all was said and done, without their leader in front of them, they all went crazy in there and killed each other. What do you think happened? In the end, Vault 94 was doomed from the start. Everyone inside the vault was way too nice, including Tyrone. While the doors were sealed, the residents were happy, healthy, and well taken care of. But once the outside world was invited in, they were doomed. Because despite what Gabriella thought about the ability for people to give up their violent tendencies when offered a more peaceful way of life, war never changes. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like the video if you like what you saw, and subscribe if you want to see the next one when it comes out. If you like the video. I hope you liked it. I liked making it, but I hope you liked it. But until next time, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Stay healthy, and I'll catch you in the next dive. Bye, everybody. The man was fired, and everyone at Dino Peaks Mini Golf lived happily ever after. But of course, this is Fallout, so absolutely not.